Took the house. Boom. Kimbo, not the nZambi Yamazulu. The reason why I was smiling, um, there was a massive shaking, and it shook the house. And I do believe this is why what we're doing is starting to really have an impact, because people have heard these noises all around the world, but now it's becoming more frequent. And see, like y'all said, it starts in the spiritual realm and it starts to become physical and manifest. And we're seeing now that the Maliki Makongo, and there, as we begin to increase, like I said, we're at war. The war is now starting to be heard. Okay. The nZambi, the Maliki Makongo definitely seem to be battling with the all of these fallen angels and whatnot, because we can sense that there's a shift that is definitely happening. I anticipate we're going to see, because like some of the booms that I'm hearing, pretty soon the armor of Isolele are going to be doing the same booms. Pro doesn't know that. Anyway, but then you'll see things. It's going to make a big difference. It's going to be a good topic, because that I'm doing today, as the Most High has got it, because I'm going to talk about the prehistoric lie, the prehistoric deception. What the world does not understand is that the Most High fights with weather, he fights with so many different things. He causes ice, he causes heat, he causes different, floods. He even fights with rocks, fiery rocks, to be that. So he fights with so many different things. And this is what the world does not understand, because you've been made into believing into things that were modified and changed to think that this is the way it works. And of course, the concept of being civilized and having modern technology when you've been lied to, because some of the stuff, many of the things you see today existed in the past. And this is the reason why they had to give you the concept of the caveman, because we now know who the true cavemen are, and the concept that prehistoric, because they can't reveal that Black people, Bantu people, or the descendants of the Black people, crafted many of the modern technologies historically. Okay. And so we're going to get into that. All praises to the nZambi and Pungutlena, Father. Hopefully that as we do this message, it'll come to the fruition of the things that I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm recording. Hold on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. The prehistoric lie. First of all, I want to give honor and Kimball to nZambi and Pungutlena, Father, for this message. I'm going to thank you, Father, for everything that you continue to do in this time. We see many things are happening around the world. Many things are transitioning. We see that many things are being shaken. And soon it'll be time to shake up everything else. Tata nZambi, Father. Matonda Masakijla Tata nZambi Pungu, for this time that we're in, and continue to increase and grow our knowledge and get the hallelujah. I apologize. I wanted to be in the prayer today. For those who, today is the Tuesday that we normally go. I got off work later than I expected, and hopefully Thursday I'll be, because I know I'm working again. Hopefully I'll get into it, and I hope that things work out this weekend. I for sure make it this Sunday. It's been crazy. Also, I'm going to give honor to Tata nZambi, to Kuswa Kongo, Yahweh, Kongo, Isaiah, the Mwan Veleda, the righteous Maliki Makongo, the righteous elders, 24, the righteous descendants of Abana and Saka and Yakubi, up until now, back into so Adama. I want to give honor to, give honor to all of those that are in this work and are continuing to bring knowledge and truth and wisdom, which is shaking the heavens as we speak. As you can hear the boom, like I said, as you can hear the boom, I know it wasn't Fort Carson because that was way too loud. So maybe they're still trying to, I know I've had this problem before. The Most High said that he's been defending many different things too. So, because I'm the enemy. But that's how it is. That's how the Maliki Makongo fight to defend those that they protect. Anyway, I'm going to share with you, before I share the screen, of course, my significant other is very fond of a show that, and I know many people have probably watched it in the past, called Friends. And the actor in the movie, in the show, plays the guy, the person who plays Ross Geller is a paleontologist, okay? One of the scenes, if you can go and you can look up the scenes, it's going to show you how satanic Hollywood really is. One of the scenes is him and the actress Jennifer Aniston plays this, who plays Rachel, I guess that's what her name is. They're doing a tour of the Museum of Natural History that he works at, and they get involved into a scene where they make out, and they realize that they're in one of the enclosure, one of the observation displays. And in this display, you see a male-looking ape and a female-looking ape, okay? Now, this is what the deception has always been bringing to us, because that is the mockery of Adama Yakongo and Eva Yakongo. That's Adam and Eve being mocked because they were Black. They were Muntu, okay? Because the whole concept of portraying the false Darwinian lineage of evolution was to hide the fact that many of the righteous people that the Most High used in the days of Noah were actually Black people. So the mockery of the seed of Cain has been to portray that lineage as apes or modified apes or humanoid apes. And this is all in a working deception with all those who are against the Most High, because he is melanated. He is a moon. He's he's not the white complexion that many people see in the drawings that they do in Rome and Greece, and the Zeus looking figure. He's not that. And because the world has been turned upside down to where, at the point that Blacks were actually dominating the world, they don't want this history to be known. because it has to be look like all of the knowledge and the wisdom and everything that came about had to come from the white race, who was supposed to be superior. Okay. So the intent, so they actually they show themselves in reality as the cavemen and women, but then they portray us as apes. This is when you see what's going on in the movie Planet of the Apes, King Kong, but they do the narrative so that it hides the concept to those who are ignorant to not understand that this is a mockery of what happened in the times of slavery and other times when the Most High's chosen were taken into captivity. And in reality, the Hittites are also mocking the Hamites in the Egypt and Kemet because they were also enslaved as prisoners of war because of the Battle of Kadesh by Ramses. Now, the biggest problem with history and the research of it are those that control the knowledge of what they tell you and how they teach it. Many of the people that came up with these concepts of prehistoric are in fact satanic worshipers, or they were, okay? Because the concept was, and as a famous rapper once put it, he said, why is everybody trying to fool the black? Chuck D. Because that was the whole concept, is they're trying to fool the world to not knowing that the 12 tribes of Isolele or Yakuba are actually Bantu people, black people, okay? Because if the world knows that, then the Messiah that they worship on Sunday, okay, is black. The angels in the heaven that they have been portraying in their different sculptures are not white, but black. But of course, they'll go out and say, oh, he made different images and colors and all this. That's not completely 100% accurate. This is what they have portrayed to you from the people from Revelation 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. They know where they come from. They know where you come from. They know the history of the races. Race, as a matter of fact, the concept of race did not exist. It was actually, I can't remember his name. I might be able to look it up here. Okay, let me go ahead and share the screen now. I'm going to show you who invented the race. Hopefully I get the right person. Okay. So they're telling you that the idea so this is the person. The idea that race is a social construct comes from the pioneering work of anthropologists, again, anthropologists. Anthropology, okay, is the study of bones, which you're being lied to about how things get petrified. It's a whole big deception. Because even there's a guy, I can't remember his name. He was an anthropologist, a black anthropologist, and he told the final history of how they came up with the modified ape in human, where the guy took the skull of a human and attached the gorilla jaw And this is where they came up with this concept of evolution out of Africa being, because the concept is that you can tell where side he comes from. He comes from the Esau-Edomite side, and that's the whole concept. They hate the Most High. They hate everything that represents his people, but they can't tell the world that they did this because they're living in a strong delusion of what the fallen angels have done. Okay. But it goes back to this gentleman. He came up with the idea that people come from different races of people, which is a lie, because before him, everything was based off of location. Where you originated was a location. Okay. This race construct was designed to hide the truth about history, about people, about what the Most High himself did in his judgments and his righteous judgments. One of the things is changing of skin color. But you don't want to tell people that, because it's like, oh, we want Jesus and God to love everybody, when that's not. The Most High is like, my wrath is upon those who sin continuously, because they won't tell you that even in America, in this world that you're saying, many of you are still doing paganistic worship. So the wrath is upon you continually. And the intent is to eradicate the people who have the ability to reveal the power that will soon be unfolding. It's funny because I went past this sign. It's about Planned Parenthood, and it says that if they were killing 1 million puppies, would you really care? And my philosophy on that is, if you knew, especially you Christians out there, that the intent of Planned Parenthood was to actually eradicate the 12 tribes of Israel, would you care then? Why you have those who are claiming to be, or faking it and funding it, by the way, the state of Israel, many of the Jewish community, the wealthiest people are these Jewish folks, and they're the ones who you think the Planned Parenthood gets their financing from. Okay. And the reason why they're doing that, as I watched in the video, that it was a guy who finally came out. I guess they used him as the scapegoat to tell the truth, that Planned Parenthood was created to kill the 12 tribes, to kill the tribe of Judah among the African American community. Okay. And that was in a video that I posted on my Facebook, I believe, or somebody shared with me. But this guy, and he actually slowed it down, kept saying, my wife getting upset. Why are they doing it? Because they want to make it clear. The guy is saying that Margaret Sanger made this concept to kill the to kill the 12 tribes to kill the tribe of Judah among the African American community. And so these are the people who created the science that many people read in the books. This is why they burned the true history and made their own. People understand that. But many of the people in Africa and Embo and Timbuktu, and many people, they've actually hid away some of the things. That's why you get knowledge now coming out that people are like, what? Because they didn't get to burn everything. They tried. Hitler burned some things. The colonizers burned some things, because they acting like they wanted to make it look like the Bantu people or the Africans didn't have a concept of writing, which was a lie, because they wanted to make this lie huge as to what people believe in the superiority and inferiority complex. So by portraying the Most High's lineage of his people as modified humanoid apes, okay, you would not realize that the creator and all the creation started off melanated, even in the days of Noah. Okay. This is why they shifted the location of the Garden of Eden, why they shifted many different things in the direction of where the Hittite Empire and the Edomite Empire was, to make them look like it all started with their history. Okay. So now, I think I did. I'm going to show you a mountain. I've actually been there when I was younger. And of course, this is one of the reasons why they call this a legend, because they say when Native American tell these stories that they're high on peyote, or they had these hallucinations or whatever. And the reason why they do this is because it's to cover up the fact that they've fabricated a major lie about prehistoric history. For example, I know how the so-called dinosaurs ended up in the form of bones. And it's going to be connected to what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to show a video also. This person's going to talk about some things. The craters and the rocks and stuff that people see when they say, oh yeah, the dinosaurs got taken out by an asteroid. Okay, first of all, that's not what they were called. They were actually abominations to the Most High because they were unclean. Second of all, they showed you some of the truth of how they were used in the movie in the cartoon The Flintstones. There was a movie that came out some years ago. I actually went to go watch it with some family members, and it was how Christianity was trying to prove the whole theory of evolution and wrong, and that there were actual scientists that were showing you that things happen faster than what they say. And they were proving that all the stuff that they were saying is actually in reverse. In order to get something to fossilize, it has to happen really fast, not really slow. Because and that's when, and of course, in the movie, they talked about the one that they found with skin on it. And of course, they hide this because they say if dinosaurs are supposed to be 65 million years old, how do you have one with skin when the skin should be gone? Okay. And of course, they found some with feathers. And I'm going to get to how that worked. Because in reality, it's right there in the scriptures. It's in the book of Enoch, actually. That's one of the reasons why they took it out, because you can't teach paleontology with the book of Enoch in the hands of Christians, because they're going to like, wait a minute. It says they sinned against birds and reptiles. And so what does that mean? What do they mean they sinned against birds and reptiles? And then you got to start questioning, what really happened. Okay. Because in the harsh reality of this world, you cannot know that the upper level people worship the fallen angels in secret and all of the things. And so one of the things that happened was to help deceive Yakuba. And this is what they did. They started to glorify and put in the museums the creatures that the Most High destroyed. Okay. But they then started telling stories about millions and millions and all that. Remember, I showed you in the lady's video where that comes from. When in reality, what happened in the days of Noah to those creatures and many other things is getting ready to happen now. People are going to be astounded. That's why they keep talking about, oh, they do this movie Armageddon. We got to stop this asteroid. They don't even realize that the whole concept of the asteroid is the purge that the Most High is going to be using. And even it starts in Revelation where it says the angel throws the millstone. That's why I even told people, I said they misrepresented the size of the ark on purpose, because back in those days, the people were larger. The current measures of the ark that they gave you, especially the doors, Noah and his family would have never been able to walk through them, because Noah was tall, big, Semi was big, Kama was big. Yafet, they were big people. They weren't You know, they were taller than Shaq. Okay. They were taller than like Kareem, maybe even taller than Kareem, Abdul-Jabbar. Okay. These people weren't small people back in those days. The true height of Adama is roughly 2 stories. So he would have been about 20 feet tall. Because I think one story is 10 feet to one story. Yeah, he is pretty tall. Because I know Nimrod, because Nimrod had to, as I sixth read of scripture, Nimrod had to become bigger to wear the clothes. He wasn't originally that size. Because, and then of course he then took the place of saying he was the first man, which is like, I don't know how people keep believing the stuff that he was saying, but this, the influence of his mom, they were all intimidated by her, still intimidated by her now. That's why people keep lying, because she has her influence over all of the stuff that they keep telling. She controls the scientific community and the mindset that they live with, because they're all afraid of the harlot, even though they all use her as a, you know, she's a harlot, right? So if you have that spirit, hey, everybody having sex. That's what they want to do. That's why they do their little get-togethers, and now they got that whole concept in the porn world, and we got everybody sleeping with everybody. You know, it's always been a problem. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about this right here. This is a mountain, and see, this is how you know that they try to hide things, because this is part of the Rocky Mountain range, but the problem is, where are the other where are the other mountains it's supposed to be connected to? The whole range, because the whole range runs from Montana even up into Canada down to Mexico. And as far as I know, because of the shifting of the continents, it should have connected with what they call the Andes, because they line it lines up straight. If you look at a map, the Rocky Mountains, you draw a line through the water, it runs right into the mountain, into the Andes, South America. So it makes you wonder, at some point, was that range connected when they had the one continent? But the thing about this mountain is, and when I was little, of course, I was in middle school, I think, something. It was funny thing. It was shocking to learn that there's still a lot of racism in Colorado, because when we went there, it was like, because my dad used to always take us on trips, and it's in Cortez, Colorado, and this is where they have Mesa Verde, where they have the cliff dwellings, as the Most High showed me, some of our ancestors had a hand in digging out those hiding places back in the day. Scatter. That's why they come. They hide those things from us. And the Anasazi have a connection to the Bantu people. And they actually, those cliff guys actually showed him the Pastor Mello, and he's like, yeah, this is something, because it's similar to how we built. It's very similar to how they built the walls and structures in ancient Isolele in Jerusalem. So it's very similar, but this is the mountain. This is supposed to be the head. This is his arms are folded, and this is the body. Okay, now, because paleontologists and scientists and whatever have been trained to continue the fallen angel lie, they don't want to tell you that this was a giant. Okay, but they'll say, oh, well, we carbon dated and it's millions of years old, and da-da-da. Because carbon dating, the person who invented it, he was also a devil worshiper. So, I don't lie. Demon them. Okay, this is why we keep saying, Most High keeps saying, isocertainty, a strong delusion. You want to believe what these scientists keep telling you, because the alchemists because the Most High has his alchemy, but the alchemist is the stork god, and he's the one that's been used to condition people to believe this garbage that they keep pushing from the Nephilim and the Anunnaki wars, and to hide the fact that Star Wars was about all that, and the fallen angels and the chariots, and you see that was also used in Hollywood to hide the truth about certain things, that there's a war going on. I just told you about the booms and everything. You know, the bottom line is there's been historical facts now coming out that Eisenhower met with Lucifer, but he looked all like he looked like an alien looking creature, you know, like one of the Greys or whatever. And so uh, this is the legend, okay? You know me as a sleeping Ute Mountain chief. You and your people, along with our love, and of course, Tata nZambi has shown me these people are descendants of Nsemi, Shem, so they have connection to Bantu people. But this particular giant was after the flood. That's gonna really mess people up. Okay. You know me as a sleeping Ute, and your people, along with other living creatures, reside on my slopes. Well, in the very old days, there were evil ones causing much trouble. I, a great warrior god, came to help fight against the evil ones. Though I am mighty, the evil ones were a formidable foe. Now remember, this is the book of Hanak, when it talks about when the Most High said the offspring of the fallen angels must fight one another. So of course they have those that say they're good and some that say are evil, and they convince them, oh yeah, we're good and evil. But the nZambi is like, no, they all wicked. Okay. So this is his perception. Though I'm a mighty, the evil one was formidable foe, and battle that ensued was ferocious. I braced my feet upon the land to strike a mighty blow. As I swung my weapon, my feet began to fold the land beneath them. My power strike sent the evil ones tumbling with such force that a crater formed where they landed. So, freeze. All of these big old craters that they show you, they always want to tell you it comes from asteroid strikes, right? Lie. It comes from the wars between these big old giants. And then I'll tell you what happened to how the Most High dealt with that too. I braced my feet, and I swung weapon, and beneath them, they answered back, and I was wounded. My strength proved too much for the evil ones. I was bloodied, but I was victorious. When the evil ones were defeated, our battleground, the earth had been pushed into mountains, valleys, and lakes. Now, I'm gonna show you how what's in that whole thing with Fantasia. There was a what do you call it? They showed you where the mountains can be formed really fast. For example, they did this in the movie 2012, where they showed you how the Himalayas went down and then this other mountain range came up. And that movie was showing you the division of the continents, by the way, when it went from one to many. And he threw, because Tata nZambi threw India into China, and the mountain range went, you know, his hand did that. But this is what they want to keep putting people, because when it comes to white people, or those who are Mundeli or Kadi and Pemba, they go by what they have learned knowledge-wise with no spiritual understanding, that this is all baloney. They go by what scientists go look at. They go by, oh, we date rocks. Okay, Tata nZambi makes rocks. The Most High can make rocks. But you think, oh, it weathered so long and this and that. We tested all this. And this is why in the movie it was called the Genesis Project. They showed where the whole concept of the Colorado River carving out the canyon was completely false, that it happened a lot faster than what they've been telling people. And I now know that that was true. Okay. Said they were, and so like I told you in that show that I watched a long time ago, and it's funny because his career plummeted after he did it. He was the guy who played #1 in the Star Trek uh, Next Generation series. And he did this whole thing where he was debunking scientific, where he said that whenever they find something that doesn't match their theory, they just discard it. And the problem is that the theory itself is bunk. Because if you look at what they call the scientific method, because I taught this, and this is why, like, this is when I learned, okay, y'all full of it. They've been lying all this time, because they're trying to erase the concept of a creator with anybody who in the scientific world, like because all of them are attached to this Scientology and everything that they do. But the reality is that they only explain how, but not why. How did, like who was responsible? They don't want to tell you there's a who's responsible. Okay. And this is all to deceive the 12 tribes, because we go into these fields and we believe what they say, and the Most High is like, they're teaching you crap, because this is Esau deceiving his brother. They know how this stuff happened. Like I said, in this story, how some of these mountains started to get rise up was because of the force of the giants hitting the ground, boom, and the mountain. Okay. And of course, volcanoes and stuff like that. So that's why the Most High said, when he come, you're gonna see these mountains wax, like flatten, like destroy. People gonna be like, whoa, the mountain just, I live by Pikes Peak, boom, gone. You know, people are going to be shocked, because I know I had a teacher who said that if Colorado would have ever experienced an earthquake of 10 or above, that the Rocky Mountains would become a beach, basically. And I think that that's what we're going to see. It says, when the evil ones were defeated, our battleground, the earth had been pushed into mountains and valleys and lakes. I lay down to rest, exhausted from the light. I fell in a deep sleep to recover, but the wound I had received in battle poured blood that ran down the valleys. And of course, what is the blood of a giant? What did they, what runs to their, what was running through their veins? You know my blood well, for it's a living water of all creatures need to drink in order to survive. Now, of course, this is a story to where they're making it look like this is a creator God. Okay, we know the fallen angels and the righteous angels played their role in creating the earth when it first started. And then, of course, with the hybrids that came, there were changes that did take place with the topography, because if they don't realize is that there was a war, is credited, but the Most High is the one responsible for it. They're telling their own version of the story, okay, but this is not really what happened. Okay. I have to change my blankets throughout the year 4 times in 4 seasons. You can tell when I'm changing my blanket, because flogger clouds settle over my head. When I'm sleeping under the light green, you will know it's spring. When I sleep the dark green, if it's summer. During the fall, I sleep under a blanket. This is yellow or red. A white blanket keeps me warm while sleeping during the winter. Sometimes when I am pleased with you, my people, I let a few clouds to slip out of my pockets. You can see these clouds gather in my highest peaks. So once again, this is the so-called people telling this legend of this story about this giant and the things that they believe. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Book of Giants. And this is going to show you this war. Says the Book of Giants was published in not less than 6 or 7 languages from the original Syriac, which is a lie. Assyria, that's what they always say, the original Syriac, because you know who ordered Assyrian. It actually comes from the Bantu language. It's from the Kikongo. Lie. The Bantu people knew about these giants. The Benakongo, Yakubi and Esau fought giants. Okay, that's why they hide this stuff. It's in the story of the Hopi. They said, "Oh, these twins are twins of our Abana and Yakubi." I mean, Yakubi and because see, the people understand that the power of the Holy Spirit, you can destroy these giants. Remember what happened when he walked around the Jericho? All we did was blow the horn. Boom! Those giants fell, destroyed, because there were big people in there. Persian, the Sogdian edition was probably derived from the Middle Persian, which is not completely true. They hide this stuff. They know this comes from Bantu culture. We know the truth about these things, but they don't want to tell us that we know it. Because even in that, they have that drawing of the ancient Africa where they have this giant that's in the middle of the Congo. It's funny how that worked. Orgias fought with Draco. Draco, remember that's the order of the fallen angels. And so did Oya. His enemy was the Leviathan. Remember Tata nZambi created the Leviathan. And Oya and his brother Aya, this is probably where you get these other names that they add in the Bible, were the sons of, this is supposed to be Semyaza. So they're telling you these are descendants of the fallen angels. The chief of Egregori, the chief of Egregori. So the Gregori are the watchers. Okay. In the Persian edition, Kawan Oya and Aya were translated as Sam. Funny how that works, right? Sam and Nariman. But the original names were kept in one passage. Yeah, who has the original names, by the way? The translator did tell that the translator did well to choose Sam Krisap, who was the translator. With regard to Orgias, longevity, Sam is one of the immortals. And he to fight with the dragon. Sam is the famous dragon killer. Okay. The word dragon is made up. Draco. So it says it's from the Draco. There is a Belial, the devil himself comes in the form of a dragon. And many people Belial. I have had this vision. Okay, I've seen him. Okay. You know, the dragon but I've seen that dragon. Okay. We've actually fought this entity way back. Okay. The so-called, he makes when these so-called people fought the dragon, they were fighting fallen angels who transform. And oh, by the way, they made you think they killed them. Like, this is the name to be invented by the Sogdian translator or to keep the names. If you ever watched the movie Beowulf, they showed how he laid down with a demon and his son became a dragon. So dragons are actually hybrid creatures. They're human and demon mix. So you have Sam was the quarrel with the giant Mahawai, the son of Vergadad, who was the 20 heirs of Igregori. Okay. So this is kind of broken up. Samyazad, and this is Samyaza, the leader of the Watchers, said to Sam, his son, all that Mahawi is spoiled. Thereupon he said, we are until they're in the fiery hell, as my father, it's kind of broke it up. My father, Viragdad, was Sama Mazad is true, thousands for thousands. Let's see if I can get this to go over. Mahawa, too many places, unto the place he might escape. So remember, this is happening because the nZambi told Hanak that the offspring, and he told the other angels that the offspring of the fallen angels had to start fighting each other. And then, of course, the Anunnaki are part of this too, because they fought the Nephilim. Thereupon the giants began to kill each other and to abduct their wives. The creatures too began to kill each other. The creatures too. Now, what creatures? These, okay, so they call it the Tablet of Destiny. Apparently, it was given to the offspring of the fallen angels by the fallen angels. It's these tablets that are supposed to be able to have power to create, to merge creatures. So what happened was, when it says in the book of Hanak that they began to sin against birds and reptiles and beasts, what they did was they used this ancient writing that was given in magic, to the fallen angels. Because one of the things that I actually had a vision about this, when the Most High cursed the serpent, the fallen angel Satani was pissed. Okay, so because remember, he was the original reptile was upright, and this is where you get the scientists who think that you have an evolution from these other reptiles to another kind, that they changed, but it's bullcrap. What they did is they took the creatures that got cursed and merged them with other creatures to make the other ones that you think they came from. Okay. And they do, and that's why there's the Most High destroyed different levels. That's why it says the creatures began to kill each other. Well, one of the things that would happen, okay, because remember, the Most High had chosen to protect the lineage of Seth. They stayed up on the mountain. They did not mix with the children of Cain. And see, this is why they hide all of the bones of the many different giants that they find, because they were alongside these creatures that they claim evolved. That's why they hide the footsteps of the different beings, like the giant, it was a giant's foot walking next to what they want to call the T-Rex or whatever. Okay. And like I told you, they've used these creatures to build the cities of Tubal-Cain. Okay. Like they showed you on the Flintstones. And of course, that's why they did all the lodge stuff and everything, because they're showing you that the so-called secret societies are the ones that they know this all this history, and they're covering it up. And they created all of this other stuff because they had to deceive the nZambi, the Bantu, the Congo, who knew and understand what happened in the days of Noka. Some of them remember, some of them didn't. They took a lot of the teachings that came out of Nimrod that they incorporated into our stuff, which we shouldn't. That's, like I said, some of our elders still have the Babylonian teachings of those times, and they're not all accurate, because the Most High called upon someone to deal with a lot of this stuff. Remember, in the scriptures it says you can call down fire. Okay, so that fire was called down on these creatures and on many of these giants, and this is how they got this is when they fell down, they petrified. Okay, that's why you see people, they hide. I'm gonna show you this video where the guy shows these pictures of different rock formations that look like human beings and animals. Okay, they got petrified, they got turned into rock. Okay, because of the fire and brimstone that came upon them. Okay, and then remember, the nZambi, when he did this, he told people not to look back. So they turned into a pillar and have them turn into a pillar of salt. And see, they even put this in the movie, The Days of Noah, when they talked about what Methuselah, that weapon he had, and how that fire went. Well, they didn't. They showed you in the movie, the people got cooked. They got turned into rock. Okay. So now, it even says it here. Virgo God, Hobab. Remember, I did that whole. I showed you that image of the one that used to be what they call Pangea or whatever. They existed during this time. The creatures began to kill each other because remember, this started because of Adama fell, and the animals started to get violent. See, one of the reasons why the modern animals that they claim that mammals came after, one of the reasons why you don't find too many mammal fossils from the days of the flood is because when the flood came, the sea creatures devoured the bodies, okay? Because they didn't go in the ark. So they consumed a lot of Cain's children that they took, they ate, they had a feast, okay? Animals the same way that died in the flood, they got ripped apart by the sea creatures that were in the big ones, big sea creatures, okay? Ripped apart a lot of these creatures. And they have the connection, they have the fact that they know this because they have bones that can tell you that they were mammals around the same time as these dinosaur creatures. But again, you report based upon who pays for your remember, it goes by who paid for your research is what you say. And it's all part of just people who are covering up lies and secrets because they work with these beings, but they can't tell you that because then it destroys the delusion of what they've created. Okay, and that's what the Most High said. This all gonna come out. People are gonna be all these scientists, doctors, and everybody else, how they've been doing things when the Most High starts to reveal that they were, a lot of these illnesses had cures, but they hide that. A lot of these scientific theories and stuff are bunk because the Most High did a lot of things in these days of Noka because these men were sinning. He brought fire down. Like I said, he destroyed cities with fire. That's why you can't find them. Okay. That's why they think, oh, everything's prehistoric or caveman, whatever. They were no, the Neanderthal came before and after because they were modified versions of us because of their sins. They sin against the Most High. That's how they got like that. Okay. Whatever he obtained his brother in prison over tax tag to the angels from heaven, tax tag threw in the water. Finally, in his sleep, tax tag saw three signs: one woe and flight, one annihilation. Narimam saw a garden full of 40 trees in a row, 200 came out of the trees. This is around the time the Most High was, if I'm not mistaken, when he made the forests to build the ark. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's why they saw this. Because the Most High, just to give you an example, okay, when the Most High curses, he says they grow thorns and thistles. I want to help you understand the difference between trees that produce fruit and trees that don't. Because if you go to Africa, and I was in the mountains, okay, this is really strange. This is how I know they lie, okay? The elevation above Luanda is similar to the elevation that you see here in the Rocky Mountains. It's very similar, pretty high. Now they'll tell you over here, oh, you can't produce fruit trees and you have these pine cones and it's all for the weather and the snow and everything. But yet over here in Angola, where you have these, it was pretty high up from the sea level. You had trees producing fruit, like bananas and all this stuff. And I was like, wait a second. What elevation are we at? As we were driving, I'm like, wait a minute, are we up like almost 10,000? Like where I live? I live at 4,000 feet above sea level. I forget how you do the conversion. I apologize. 6,000 or 7. I know we had to be at least 8,000 feet because it got chilly when we got to the village. And I'm sitting there like, wait a second, they growing vegetables and fruit at this high level. How is this possible when they're supposed to be, they tell you, oh yeah, you can't grow certain trees and of that. Now I realize it's a lie. Deceivers. The Most High curse the North American continent. These pine trees and these other trees you get, they're the thorns and thistles. When he says that he cursed the land with thorns and thistles for those who were heathenistic or those who were doing paganistic things, wicked things. So now you can know his land, he kept it truly bearing fruit, and it still does. That's the problem when you think about how they do telling lies. Okay. Because it's the same way, it's similar to, it's like that down in South America too. High mountains that they're growing vegetables and fruit, by the way. Enoch the apostle gave the message to the demons and their children to not to you, not peace. The judgment on you is that you shall be bound for the sins that you have committed. You shall see the destruction of your children, ruling for 120 years. Wild ass, ibex, ram, goat, gazelle, oryx, and each 200 pair. See, these are animals that are not supposed to be around, supposedly, when you see these so-called reptiles, right? And the other wild beasts, birds, and animals that their wine shall be 1,000 jugs, irritation of water, and their oil shall be. All right, so this is kind of cut up and stuff, because when they found it, it was in pieces. I think that they have I know for a fact they have the completed version. It's probably sitting in Israel somewhere and also in the Vatican, but they don't want you to know. And see, this is how you can tell that I know that they've hidden these things, because I told you about my conversation I had with a priest, a Catholic priest, and he made this comment that we've never had any proof that these fallen angels made any children. And that right there told me that's because you're covering up something. Because this is how you can tell this church is working with these deities, and they don't want people to know that they know these truths, and they're trying to hide things. Okay. Because the reality is, as this guy's going to show you a little bit, I'll put the link in the description. I'm so hopefully I don't get a strike or nothing. This is just for purposes of showing people certain things. If I do get I might have to put, if you want to copy this link or whatever, or you go to this channel, maybe I shouldn't show it just in case I get a strike, but he's going to show you. I'll put a little bit of it.
Either by water or fire. There are puzzles in the history of civilizations that can be explained if we take the ancient stories of a sunken continent as a working theory. In the glacial epoch, all of Canada, part of the United States, all of Holland, Belgium, Germany, Scandinavia, and parts of Eastern Europe were covered under an Arctic ice sheet.
Okay. This is one of the judgments of Tata nZambi. He uses snow, ice. Now, they're going to talk about different things, the ice age or whatever. Okay. If you go and look at the book of Yobe, the Most High says, he stored up snow for the time of that's why you're getting all the weather. That's why you're getting all these inclement weather now. They're calling it climate change or whatever. The Most High, he brought ice to destroy people. when he needed to. Okay, so this is, I'm not gonna play too much more, but there's another one. Let's see if I can go back. There's another one where this guy, it shows the face of a rock. I might be able to pull it up. Yeah, so here you go. See, it's starting to come out now. So they're showing you, see this here? These are supposed to be giant snakes that are petrified. Here you see, this was a giant camel. Now, how did that get petrified? Here's a face of a hand. This is another body that's sitting in the water. Because like I told you, they used to make these giant creatures, and the Most High is like, nah, they gotta go. See, here's another one. You see this here face. Okay. And I know this guy, he even had a picture where it showed the bases of giant trees. That it was like, wait a minute, how come they don't know about it? Because these pictures are starting to come out now. It was like these giant trees. Like, see here, here's where they found a Nephilim bone. But see, some of these though aren't. No, let me give you clarity. Some of these people that they're finding are not actually the offspring of the fallen angels, but the original size of some of the people in the days of Noka. This is what they don't understand. Okay, they were taller, they were bigger, and this is what they're hiding. Okay, so you see all these structures. That's why this even might be a drawing when they show Adama is flying. It looks like it could be on the side because he could fly. See how they got these big old rocks and they're carved. See, first and foremost, I'm going to tell you that the concept of a laser, that the fact they just created lasers is wrong. Lie. They had lasers in the days of Noah. So they could actually take a stone and cut it just like this and have it perfect. And this is the Mwanda, like we said, we did this. We had abilities in the Mwanda when we built Kemet. That's what they kept saying. How did they get it like this? No, like Rasa said, we had the help of the Holy Spirit. That's what they don't want to tell people. And see that the so-called Khazars, they didn't have the help of the Holy Spirit when they were there. So it's all a deception. And see how all these big structures, because see, Tubal Cain used technology to build his cities. Okay. What you don't understand is a lot of the hidden secrets were passed down from, because like Nimrod had this knowledge because he got it from his grandfather Kama, they call Ham, that they knew of this technology. They knew of this because, and then of course, when the star children came and he started to worship them and they started giving him the secrets. Okay. So all of this stuff has been passed down from generation to generation, but they have hidden it until the time of now, to where they have brought back the society. People are smaller now. They're not as big as they used to be. And they made us more stupid. People think they're smarter, but they made us more stupid because they don't want you to figure this out. That's why I think that when I watched that commercial, when they were talking about the declaration and the voting, this is how they mock you, by the way. I think that was Ben Franklin. I don't remember. I didn't really check it, but he says everybody gets to vote. He said even the stupid ones, and they said yes. But they don't understand that this is the lie of the Electoral College, because I understand this, and it's good to go listen to Mike Epps and KRS-One to explain this. He said, you don't elect the president, you elect the people who pick the president. And this is why even when they talked about, what's his name, the comedian who won over Nixon, but then they said that he lost. That's why the Most High actually brought some judgment in the 70s, because that was his doing. That's why he says, my wrath is upon those that change things, that give lies. See, here this is a giant, reptile here that turned into fossil. Well, the Most High did this. The nZambi is responsible for why these things got destroyed. And this happened around the same time when he called for the Watchers, the 22, to get bound. But a war ensued with the children of Cain, with the attempts to stop the Most High from finishing his deed of renewing the land. This is where they showed you that there was a fight to stop people from coming at the ark, which they say it was the Watchers, but it was not. It's a lie. It's the Maliki Makongo and someone else. Okay. Now, what is the significance of this as far as our awakening is? It just goes to show the length that they have gone to hide the fact that the nZambi, the Bana Congo, the Muntu of Isolele are, in fact, the 12 tribes. And that the Most High is responsible for all things. The nZambi and Pungu, which in Christianity, they still believe this, but still they send their kids to go to school to learn this lie, okay? Because their concept is the bigger the lie, the more you tell it, the more people will believe it. Then it becomes fact. Then it becomes, just kind of like with the theories, okay? So I'll tell you, this is, I was going to read this one scripture. This is Enoch Chapter 6. And it came to pass after the children of men had increased in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the angels, the Maliki, the sons of the heavens, Maliki, remember, they were still at this time supposedly good, saw and lusted after them, which of course is wrong. So this is what caused them to fall. Behold, we would choose for ourselves wives from among the children of men and beget for ourselves children. And then Simyaza, who was leader, said to them, I fear that perhaps you will not be willing to do this deed, and I alone shall suffer for this great sin. So they already knew they were going to be in trouble, but they did it anyway. This is how ignorant, that's what the Most High said, this is the problem with, why do you even, now why do you believe them? You know they messed up, but yet you're going to still believe the garbage they tell you. Then all answered and said, we all swear an oath. Of course, this oath goes all the way down through all of their minions. This is where the secret societies get their oaths from. Bam. Mutually by a curse that we will not give up this plan. We will make this deed plan. Of course, and this was to actually, the hidden agenda was to stop the coming of Messiah, by the way, with this. This is what they were anticipating, because the Most High said he would send one to undo the sin of Adama. They've always been trying to do this. They've been trying to do the blood lineage tainting, even with their own children, okay? That's why the Most High keeps trying to tell people is like, the biggest lie that they told you is there is a distinction between Satan's children and his children, but Satan's children think they're his children. And this is going to be the biggest delusion that people want to realize, wait a minute, what? How does that work? Well, those who continue to believe in the paganistic ways and have tricked Jacob into also following them, those are the people who have been deceived that they come through the harlot. just because they were cut, their ancestors were cut off, all the way back to the Gog and Magog fight, the Neolithic Wars, the sons of whenever what happened with Nimrod and all the different tribes, the 70 tribes. The 70, you have to understand, the 70 tribes that participated in trying to overthrow the Most High got cut off. They're like, it's like, are you stupid or what? Do you actually listen to this dude that you can kill me? This is the problem, and they're still doing it. This is the problem. They're still doing it for those who represent the higher levels. But see, now they got now they got the minions. Now they got the sheep of believing. Oh yeah, you attached to their God, to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Nah, baloney. You still worshiping these same gods. They just changed the name. That's why they don't use. That's why they don't use the names of the Most High. They changed all the names. And they descended an artist, which is the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn an oath and bound themselves mutually by curse. And these are the names of the leaders: Semyaza, Uraka, Barmiel, Akabiel. And these guys are all back, by the way, except minus. These are all Maliki Makol. These are all Maliki. These are archangels, by the way, I believe, that fell. And they have children. That's why when Solomon asked the one that helped ORNIS, he says, I am the son of so-and-so, offspring of this. And the Most High's, that's what it said, the Most High's Malikis also have offspring. They did, but they're not the same. They didn't make, it's not the same way though. It's different. They didn't do it with the human beings. Okay, so they make these different, they have these children, and they took unto themselves wives and chose for himself and began to go and mix them and taught them charms, conjurations, and made them acquaintance with cutting roots and woods. And they became pregnant and brought forth great giants whose stature were 3,000 ells. These devoured all the acquisition of mankind till men were unable to sustain themselves, and the giants turned themselves against mankind. Now, the mankind they're talking about that can't sustain themselves are the children of Cain, because the children of Seth, they sustained themselves. They couldn't go to that lineage. That's why the devil, when I showed you in the book of Adam and Eve, he had to go up and get them to come down because they had the blessings. Okay. So they're the ones crying out. Okay. And now this is the one, AZL, because taught mankind to make swords and knives and shields. So now, let's go back. What group of people fought with armor? And how did they get the knowledge to make armor? See, this is what people trying to tell people. They lie, because this stuff was taught in the days of Noah, and they brought it back with the lineage, they made a pact with this joker to bring these this secret to them. This is how knights got their armor, from Azazel. This is where it comes from. When they call it the Bronze Age, the Greeks and everybody. How did they get their swords and all this stuff? How did the people of Kemet? Okay, yeah, we had the alchemy too. We had the weapons. We had our stuff, but see, the Most High's version was way better than they could ever imagine. Watch, you'll see. Or the things we could do were way better than what they were making. And see, now you see who was responsible for this. And Mikaeli and Gabrieli, and Sirhan and Urhan looked down from heaven and saw the great amount of blood that had been spilled on the earth and all the wickedness which had been committed over the earth. And again, that goes back to what I was saying about that mountain, that Ute mountain, okay? And they said one another, the empty earth echoes the sound of their cries at the gates. And now you holy ones of heaven cry the souls of men, saying, secure a judgment before the Most High. And they spoke to their Mfumu, the Ntino, O Tata nZambi, Lord Ntino Bantino, Ntino, kings of kings, the throne of thy majesty among the generations, the world, and thy name holy, glorious among all the generations of the world. Thou art blessed, praised. Thou hast made all things, and all power is with thee. Are open before thee and uncovered, deceives all things and nothing hide. So this is when he makes the decree. Okay. And Semyaza, to whom thou hast given the power to be chiefs. Now, who got the who made Semyaza leader of these watchers was Tata nZambi. So this is where you see, go back to Revelation, where it says Satan took a third of the stars because he convinced them to have his, his fate. And Semyaza, to whom thou hast given power to be a chief, has made known the conjurings. So what he's saying is, this is what Yahya says. We have Adama had secrets on how he did, and he taught this to the lineage. And this is what we keep talking about. There's secrets. Kuswa Kongo taught these secrets. Isaiah, the one who called Jesus. These secrets are passed down to different things. And he's saying, here you have a Maliki that has now taught these secrets to the wrong people because they were the cursed side. Okay, remember Cain and them? Okay. So he says, thou hast given the power to be chief of his associates and made known the conjuring, and they have gone together to the daughters of men and have slept with them, and those women have defiled themselves and have revealed to them these sins. And this is why Yah was saying, the whole concept of how they talk about Isaiah and how he was, if the Most High did it this way, the way you're talking about, then he broke the code. And but again, that's for Tata nZambi to reveal what really happened, But the reality is that, Isaiah knows the truth. He knows the truth himself, and he could tell you how he was conceived, And the Most High, of course, he knows the truth and everything. But again, this is what they're talking about. They slept with women and have defiled themselves and have revealed to them these sins. And the women have brought forth giants, and therefore the whole earth has been filled with blood and wickedness. And now, behold, the souls have died, cry, lament to the gates of heaven, and their groans ascend, and they are able to escape from the wickedness which is committed on the earth. And thou knowest everything before it come to pass, and thou knowest this in their circumstance. And yet thou dost not speak to us, what shall we therefore do in regards to this? Then the Most High, the great Holy One, spoke and said, Arish Jahla, the son of Lamech, and said to him, I can't say, I'm sorry. I gotta learn how to say this. The Kikongo Bantu is better, but Al Shalal Lijur, the son of Lamech, and said to him, tell him in my name, hide thyself. Okay, so this is the real name of Noka. This is Noah's name. This was his original name, apparently. The son of Lamech, because this is who he says to hide thyself. And revealed to him the end which is come, for the whole earth will be destroyed. So this is grandfather Noka's original name, Arshjalal Lazra. For the whole earth destroyed, and the water of the deluge is to come, and upon it will be destroyed. And he said, and now instruct them that he may escape and see to remain the whole earth. And again, Tata nZambi spoke to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and put him in the darkness, make them open in the desert, which is in Dudael, and put him there. Now this location, I think, is now covered in ice. This is what they keep calling about Antarctica or whatever. But that's when they talk about Megatron hiding in the basement. You have a frozen robot hiding in the basement, whatever. This is who they keep trying to break out using CERN, and also the military, but they can't do it. And lay upon him rough pointed rocks and cover him with darkness, and he may remain. So he's making rocks and covering him, cliffs. Like I said, the most I can do is cover it. And the day great, he will cast in the fire and heal the earth which the angels have defiled, and announce the healing of the earth, and I will heal it. And that not all sons of men shall be destroyed through the mystery of all things. So the Most High has his mysteries. We keep trying to say this, and things which the watchers have spoken and taught their sons. And the whole earth was defiled through the example of the deeds. And at the time said to Gabriel, go against the bastards. So you must understand this. This is how the Most High views any offspring that comes from the fallen angels as bastards. And those are including people who walk among us today. So don't think the Most High love everybody. Okay. He said, go against the bastards that those cast off against the children of fornication and destroy the children of fornication and the children of watchers from among men. Lead them out and let them loose, that they may destroy each other by murder, for those days shall not be long. Okay. And of course, these they destroyed each other through murder, but they became petrified because sometimes they murdered, they use fire to come down to kill, to brimstone, whatever. And it wasn't just that, it was the creatures they created with it, because they were giant creatures. So this is what they hide. This is why that stump you see, that they call it the Devil's Mountain, they had giant trees. Why? Because they were trying to go, okay, Nimrod wasn't the only place. Nimrod wasn't the only one building a tower to try to get into heaven to destroy the Most High. The Nephilim and the Anunnaki and all of them were all trying to do it. So they tried to build trees that could go high to break the firmament. This is where your Jack and the Beanstalk story actually comes from. When all their sons shall have slain one another, and they shall have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them under the hills. Now here we go. Here they go. This is why I'm talking about with the sleeping youth. This is a judgment the Most High gives to these. That's why, they're still fighting, and there's rock formations. Some of them are still forming. You'd be surprised. Okay, when all the sons have slain one another, and they shall have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them under the hills of the earth for 70 generations to the day of judgment, and of their end to the last judgment has been passed for all eternity. This is how these giants get turned into stone. And in those days, they will be led to the abyss of fire and torture, and in prison, they will be locked for all eternity. And this is why they keep trying to open the portals. They keep trying to open these prisons, and this is why they keep getting possessed with these entities, and then I'm so and so, and they start saying I'm so and so, and I'm from way back in the day of, that's why the Most High said they get possessed with these beings, and they worship them as gods in secret. That's the problem. People are so stupid sometimes. Why would you unlock this? It's beyond me, but this is what they did. And when he will burn and be destroyed, they will be burned together from now on the end of the generations, and destroy all the souls of lust and children of the watchers, because they have oppressed mankind. Destroy all oppression from the face of the earth, and all wickedness shall cease, and the plant of injustice. Now, how does he destroy? Bring down the fire, turn them into rock, petrified, because he destroyed the creatures, but he gave an order to Noka. He spared some of the unclean creatures in the ark, but they were babies. Okay. Then all would just bend the knee and they remain alive till they begot 1,000 children, and they will complete all the days of their youth and their somebody in peace. So some of this, what he's kind of talking about is now, the future. So he's telling you some of these creatures are still around and they're still fighting, but they stay hidden now because they taught this scientific lie. Oh yeah, all of a sudden you see this giant, like, whoa, wait a minute, where do you come from? And you're gonna see that, wait till you see. When the veil is lifted, as a matter of fact, I won't go there because some people that probably have a heart attack, but the reality is there is a plan for the tares. There is a plan for the wicked. There is a plan for everybody, okay, that has worked against the Most High. This is where the concept of the reapers comes in when he talks about the sow and reap. This is part of the reason why Christianity had to believe the things that they believe, because you don't understand. This is all the Holy Spirit doing this stuff, bringing down fire, destroying these creatures, bringing the flood. The Holy Spirit bringing the flood. Okay, that's why y'all, we kept trying to tell people, y'all don't get it. You have been given watered down scriptures from the fact that they don't want you to understand. You can use the nature against people. You can make that's why Isaiah said you can make the mountain move, and you can drop a whole mountain on somebody's house. Yeah. That's why Tata nZambi says not everybody gets the nZambi, the Holy Spirit, because you have to show that you can be responsible enough to not do, like Isaiah said, I'm not bring fire down on nobody. What's wrong with you? We're trying to save people here. And that's how the religious people have been deceived, because you can do anything that is necessary when the Holy Spirit is used with you. And wait and see. People gonna be astounded, shocked when they see when they see a Muntu, a Bana Betu that can run faster than a cheetah. And you say, oh, the fastest man can only run. That's why they hide Simon Toko's feet when he beat the car on a bicycle and smoked it with the Holy Spirit. Why they killed him and he came back, killed him and he came back. Okay, they're like, who is this guy? Okay, because Tata nZambi has said, and in the Most High, there's things that he has done with some of his children that are even more miraculous to even get us to the point where we are in this awakening, because everybody that's in this awakening was already targeted before. This is why they now had to put agents among us, because they got to know, when are we going to do the next steps? But the Most High said, even they won't know what's about to happen. and they will be exposed for who they really are. They're agents among us. They're agents that are trying the whole concept, because the reality is these people have these so many secrets that the world cannot, they have to keep people in the lie that they have created until the Most High says, see, my forefathers, we've inherited the Milia 69. Oh my gosh, they lied to us. It's already starting. Many people don't even, they hide, this is why the media is controlled, because they have already begun to say, you guys are liars in many places. You lied to us. You did this. You did that. You did this. This is not true. I'm going to go over the scientific theory. This is why I stopped teaching it. I told them stop. I'm not lying to kids no more. Okay. You have to observe. Then you form the question. Then you have a hypothesis. Then you do the experiment. You have the conclusion. You have the results. If you only operate in the carnal world, you will see what the fallen angels want you to see. The spiritual world manipulates the observation. This is why people live on the facts. Oh, I see this, I see that. Whatever you see with these carnal eyes, this is what you will believe is true. This is why, to explain to a scientist spirituality, they won't believe it. But then something happens that they cannot explain. They just say, oh, they just dismiss it as a phenomenon of nature. Like I was watching the movie The Happening. The guy, he was a scientist in the movie. He's like, I don't understand why people are dying like this. Wait and see. When this next phase begins, they're gonna be so baffled. I've never seen anything like this. Even now, when they find things, they're like, no, you cannot talk about this. When they find the buildings that are sunk under the ocean, the cities that got destroyed, wait a minute, there's some big steps. Where are these things? Shh, shut up. You can't talk about this. What kind of creature made that? This is how it works. You've sworn to these secrecies, the oaths. And then that's why they teach it only, you have to be a certain level to get secrets. No, see, we did this, and they must keep their mouth shut. Okay? This is the scientific theory. A scientific theory is an explanation of an aspect of the natural world and universe that has been repeatedly tested based upon what their knowledge of how things are and what they've been taught, and corroborated according with scientific methods using accepted protocols. So that means you have to be given, you have always had to be given the protocols. Who made those up? Because remember, 200 years ago, none of this existed. Lie. 300 years ago, none of this existed. They all want to go back to philosophy. Even Sir Isaac Newton worshiped the fallen angels. Darwin worshiped the fallen angels. They keep this up. He never proved the Most High didn't exist. He was just mad because his daughter got killed. The circumstances not amendable. Theories are evaluated through principles of abduct reasoning. Let's go look at that. Abduct reasoning, or called abduction, is the logical inference from logical. So that means if it's illogical, they throw it out. That's spirituality right there. Spirituality is illogical, because this is where they're going to tell you, how are you going to move a mountain? What kind of physics are you going to use? How are you going to grow a tree? How are you going to get a tree to grow fruit? That's not possible. Why? Because they only see the carnal aspect of the world. That's why when they go to see the Most High, whoo, man, like I said, you don't want to be a scientist. That's why the Most High said, the theories you learn and the stuff that I learn, everything, you don't want to come to face him with this stuff, because you will be shocked and astounded. That's why I was watching this thing. Somebody posted a video where allegedly talking to a so-called gray UFO, and they're asking about the nuclear war and all this stuff. I'm sitting there saying, this dude comes from another dimension. He probably was in one of the prisons. You would probably be opened it. This is why he's telling you all this other garbage, because they don't, like the Most High said, they believe what they want to believe. You believe what you want to believe, but the Most High, like, hey, strong delusion. I send false spirits everywhere. If you don't ask the Most High, you don't know. So you believe in what the so-called spaceship craft. This is a war. He did this. He changed the image of these people. He caused all kind of things to happen. That's why they're gonna tell you he don't exist, because he don't exist to them at all. Okay. So essentially, this is why this next phase of what's about to happen will have no logical explanation to it. None. Because it's going to be like, hey, how did y'all do? It's going to be just like what happened in Kemet and in Gipiti. Pharaoh, explain this to me? How did he do that? Okay, there's not going to be an explanation about what's going to happen soon. Okay, but I will say this: you don't have much more time, if any. Like I said, I don't even, like I said, y'all said, nZambi is saying, nobody know. I said, he has come to the point where we are ready to do some things. But it won't happen because everybody's going to be caught off guard, except for those who have been given their orders. Because there have been people who have been given orders. Not everybody knows about it. They have been downloaded with orders. And the orders will go into effect when the spirit reveals the time has come. Wait till you see what those orders are. It's going to shock people. And be like, whoa, this is what we got to do? I already seen some things. I ain't gonna go deep into it. But wait and see. People have gotten orders already to prepare for what's about to happen. Okay. So Ensemble Lolo, Zola Quingi, Ino Weza Yavi Kongo Twala. And like I said, understand that everything that they have done in this world is to deceive Yakuba, even the science, even the history, even the years of things. Because there was very few people would even remember what happened in the days of Noka. Yes, Hanak did teach the kings to do things. Matuza didn't go left or right. There's people here on the earth that have already ascended to the Pemba Kalunga. Amnesia had to be done for many people. And when they get unlocked, oh, doggone. That's why I got, wait and see. There's people gonna get unlocked still and will do things, okay? Because just like it talked about in the days of Noka, there has to be a cleansing of what these people have done with the knowledge of Tubal Cain and the others. This stuff has to go away, because everything that you see here on the earth right now is unclean. Unclean. That's what Christians understand. Your house, your car, your these buildings, everything is unclean. It has to be cleansed. But they're gonna say, "Oh, I'm going to see Jesus." And wait and see, and get there. Hallelujah.